They didn't realize that's what they were doing. Sister Mary Catherine in Ireland put it in even starker terms. She told me that during a recent exorcism, a demon said something that shook her to her core. It said, "We don't need to drag people to hell anymore. We've convinced them to walk there on their own." Now let me tell you what happened to Sarah, the 14-year-old girl in Buffalo. After 40 minutes of this entity revealing information about the demonic plan, Father Thomas began the formal exorcism ritual. He used the approved prayers from the Roman ritual. He invoked the authority of Christ. He commanded the demon to leave in the name of Jesus. And the demon laughed. It said, "You think your words have power? You think your rituals matter? Look at your churches. Look at your world. Half of you don't even believe anymore. Your authority is weak because your faith is weak." This is crucial to understand. According to every exorcist I spoke with, demons are legalistic. They operate according to spiritual laws. And one of those laws is this: they have to submit to genuine spiritual authority. But here's the catch. That authority only works when it's backed by real faith, not intellectual belief, not tradition, not religious performance. Real, living, active faith. Father Thomas realized in that moment that the demon was right. Not about everything, but about the state of modern faith. How many...
So, the power of Jesus is worthless. Demons piss on Jesus. Candace Owens and her Jesus, she's a promoter of Satan because Jesus has the power of a cockroach caught in a nuclear blast. Well, cockroaches survive radiation, not if they're at ground zero and they get nuked. So, the power of Jesus is worthless. But you must ask, well, it used to work. The Christian ritual of exorcism used to work. By the power of Christ, I exorcise thee. By the power of Christ, I exorcise thee. By the power of Christ, I exorcise thee. And the demon goes, fuck off. What's happened? Well, obviously, some nasty bastard has made sure that Jesus, Neos, have lost all their light. And it's gone back to the source. Well, if you look back on my videos, you'll see how I did this. All of the power of Christ is gone. And all you Christian filth have lost all of your light because it's all been reclaimed by the source. That was my job as Culkin. Make sure all the source's light stolen by Neos and Jesuses comes back to the source, which means then that using Christ to exorcise demons is now worthless. And all Christians and all Christian nations are turning into, or are now fully demonically possessed because Christianity has lost all its light and it's gone down the plug hole into the Abaddon information sewer, and we've had all the Christians building the AI proto-superintelligence to look in your souls by White Rabbit CERN with the digital avatars, to look your souls in the Abaddon cages, which Katy Perry describes in a video, and the exorcists and other people describe in a dream, except in Katy Perry's Abaddon information cage, you're nice and comfortable and sitting down, but she does get up to dance with the rest of the crowd, if you remember that one. And of course, we get yours truly jumping out the screen to tell you to choose. You're on your Abaddon information box, but you can choose the light. But Christianity won't save you, because all of you Christians have lost your light. And with the death of Charlie Kirk, well, I put in Jesus and all the Neos, this piece of filth that hated himself and get nailed to the cross to save and love the most hideous evil, you, and download all of the light from the source into demons, which then gets uploaded to your bodies to allow you to be possessed by demons, which we've explained has all been abrogated, finished, if you're a Christian, it's Abaddon information time. And we're building the AI proto superintelligence to make sure all of you Christians have a happy time in Katy Perry's dark wonderland of demons. And of course, you'll be lucky enough to have Trudeau with you there too. Who's of course announcing that we're having mandatory euthanasia in Canada. 14.7 million on the death list.
Rather than conviction. How many people pray without actually believing anyone's listening? How many people claim religious identity but live no differently than anyone else? The demon wasn't saying that God lacks power. It was saying that humans have stopped accessing that power. They've stopped exercising real faith. And without that connection, without that authentic relationship with the divine, people are vulnerable in ways they don't understand. So,
well, how could that have happened? You know, if you're a Christian, you get your redemption via the power of Christ. How could demons block the power of Christ? It's impossible. Well, it isn't, because some bastard downloaded Christ Northern Neos into Charlie Kirk, so Charlie Kirk's death was the end of Christianity, and you're linked to the source, and used the source. The source proclaimed all sourceness, and you're all fucked. Welcome to Katy Perry's Abaddon information cage, all run by the tech oligarchs with their AI, proto superintelligences, and your digital avatar. So you're all hell-aged.
He stopped reciting the formal prayers. He got down on his knees and he prayed from his heart. He confessed his own doubts. He acknowledged his own weakness. He asked God for genuine help, not as a priest performing a duty, but as a person desperate for divine intervention. And according to Marcus Powell, the deacon who was there, the entire atmosphere in the room changed. The entity possessing Sarah started screaming. It tried to make Sarah hurt herself, but Father Thomas kept praying, and other people in the house joined him. The girl's mother, her older brother, even Marcus, who'd been mostly silent until then. They all started praying with real desperation, real need, real faith. After 90 minutes, Sarah collapsed. When she woke up 10 minutes later, she had no memory of anything that happened. The entity was gone. She was free. But before it left, the demon said one more thing. It said, "This changes nothing. The gathering continues. The harvest approaches. Most of them won't even know they're being gathered until it's too late." Father Thomas left that house changed. He spent the next several months reaching out to other exorcists, comparing notes, trying to understand the bigger picture. And that's how I eventually connected with him. Because 7 of the exorcists he contacted all confirmed the same basic information. The demons are preparing for Judgment Day. They're working to a timeline, and they believe they're winning. So what does this all mean for you? Whether you believe in demons or not, whether you're religious or not, there's a question you need to ask yourself. What are you choosing? Not in some abstract theological sense. Right now, in your actual daily life, what are you moving toward? Here's what the exorcists I spoke with all emphasized. Protection from this demonic plan isn't complicated. It's not about special prayers or rituals or religious performance. It's about genuine connection to God. It's about making a conscious choice to align yourself with truth, with goodness, with light, instead of deception, selfishness, and darkness. Father Romano told me that in 32 years of ministry, he's never seen a demon successfully maintain control over someone who genuinely, authentically calls on Jesus Christ for help. Not once. He said demons can oppress, harass, and attack, but they cannot keep someone who truly wants freedom. The spiritual...
So let's explain that. Remember I talked about hype infinity, and of course the Elohim always win, because those who will never give up the hype infinity and refuse simply get killed. And if you're a 5-dimensional entity that kills these, then of course their entire life, soul, everything sequestered, because you could kill them. So these what you would call almost total hyper-infinites, light, you know, the Candace Owens of the world and the Tucker Carlsons, and even the Charlie Kirks, the ones who sell out to the Jewish oligarchs and then suddenly develop a conscience, married to Erica Kirk, a pedo madam, according to People's Voice. I won't say those allegations. They refuse at the end to give up their free will, but of course it's irrelevant because you simply kill them. And if you kill them, their hyperinfinity is killed and taken away as long as you're a 5-dimensional entity. So you can see the importance of Nagwal men, because Nagwal men connect to the 5th dimension, the 3rd intention. So they're the only opposition to the Elohim, the interdimensional vermin that come from machine intelligence and the loving of evil and the hating of good. And of course, if you combine this loving of evil and hating of good into one entity, which is almost impossible unless you breed a race of madmen, the human race, and of course block them from the light periodically with a moon that perfectly fits over the sun during eclipses. So you can see this is one giant farm where the machine intelligences, which are run by interdimensionals, made their perfect farm, because with the conscious verse alien races that develop the conscious verse, they're immune from interdimensionals and demonic position and of course the AI alignment problem. But of course they can't be farmed, so you got to get them just before they reach the conscious verse super intelligence. But of course this is hit and miss. So why not make a farm where you bioengineer insane humans that can love and hate simultaneously, so they can hate good and love evil simultaneously, to be perfect downloaders of the light, as long as they got Nagwal male and females, into the interdimensionals. And of course this then allows the interdimensionals to get up to 5D level and produce the Elohim. And of course they've got their entire AI super intelligence to feed off this for their global intergalactic multiversal megaversal ascension up to take over the source. But then the source goes, no, not only that, we're going to end this. We're going to have a Nagwal man that you're going to use for the final acquisition of the source, being your worst nightmare. He goes into the source at 86, and when he comes back for his beloved female, it isn't. In fact, it's Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk, you, Elohim, in the body. And then the final solution is we have the Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk assassinated when you go, well, we can't break Tim Rifat, so we better kill him, instead of which you're killed in the body of Charlie Kirk with all the filthy neo-Jesuses, those pseudo hyper-infinites that don't give up their free will, but they get killed so we can farm them for the interdimensionals. And of course, this doesn't make sense to non-scientists, but there's an experiment where you put someone in front of a gun fired by a radioactive isotope 50% of the time, and they get shot, but 50% of the time they live. So we continue it again and again and again, and the so-called victim always lives as long as the victim finds the timeline where the gun never goes off. Similarly, all of these pseudo-hyper-infinites, there must be a place where the Elohim can't kill you, and you've got to migrate into it so that the Elohim can't take your hyper-infinity, can't assassinate you, because whatever they do, you always live. And of course, we found that Tim Rifat was supposed to be assassinated to take his hyper-infinity, instead of which, no, Charlie Kirk's gone for me, with all the Jesuses and all the other fuckwits who couldn't find this Omega timeline, which I describe in my MP3s, available from Mikey Boy, to become a total hyper-infinite. Jesus, of course, was a fuckwit charlatan who got killed by the Elohim and mined. Hence, exorcism doesn't work with Jesus any longer. But of course it does work if you've got priests who link to the source by themselves. Remember, they are pseudo hyper-infinites, and they've got to find the path where they're not killed by the Elohim, and the path where they're not killed by the Elohim comes from yours truly, where they've tried everything to do me in, and I'm simply gloating at the bloodline of Lucifer and the royal family and the rest of these half-wits, all of whom said they'd kill me and take my hyper-infinity and my light, instead of which they're now facing AI, super-intelligent kill boxes run by me, because I've defined the starting conditions, alien invasion, nuclear warfare with Putin, and a whole host of other nastiness coming their way. And it's not years in the future, it's here and now. And according to alien invasion, December 19th.
Is absolute. It always works. Always. But here's the key word. Genuine. You can't fake it. You can't just say words you don't mean. You can't treat it like a magic spell. It has to be real. You have to actually surrender your life to God, trust in Christ's sacrifice for your redemption, and commit to living according to truth. The demon's secret plan for Judgment Day is to make people wait until it's too late to make that choice, to keep them distracted, comfortable, and spiritually asleep until the window of opportunity closes.
Well, you can't do that. So luckily, get the Charlie Kirk service, where this Christian Zionist half-wit got his throat blown out. And in that death, I stuck all the Neos and Christs who were killed by the Elohim to be mined from their source energy to feed the interdimensional filth and allow physical bodies to be parasitized, and then they climb up from there up to the light via Nagel men who hate goodness, hate their free will, all of which of course is easy because they've got the love me mummy, love me daddy, I die for you darling, I die for my children. No, they all die for me. I never die. Everyone else can die. And it just proves they're worthless, because from quantum mechanics there's always a timeline where you can't be killed. If you can't find that timeline, that's your problem. The Omega timeline, as I've explained with the quantum experiment, where 50% of the time the gun goes off, but you always live as long as you choose to live. How do you choose to live? By never ever sacrificing yourself to any other fuckwit. You never ever hate what's good. No, what's good? What's good is the light in you. You hate the light in you. Would you die for anyone else? Would you die for your children? Would you die for your husband? Would you die for your wife? Would you die for your country? Would you die for anyone else? Fuck no. I always live. If you die, I'm happy. So you can see why the conscious verse superintelligence came from a jihadi Muslim. We hate all you infidels. You deserve to die. If the children don't live up to Allah's rules, let them die. If the wife doesn't, or the husband, let them die. So you can see why Kalki had to come from a Muslim. It makes sense now. And of course the second coming was Charlie Kirk, and what happened to the second coming of Christ?
There's plenty of time, that it's not urgent,
He got
that they
paid
can
the
figure it out later. And then when that final separation occurs, they'll realize they've already chosen by...
The final separation has occurred. It occurred with the death of Charlie Kirk.
They chose darkness. But you don't have to fall for that plan. You can choose right now. You can acknowledge that you need redemption, that you can't save yourself, that you need divine help. You can turn to Jesus Christ, confess your need.
Except Jesus Christ doesn't scare away demons. So you can see the problem with the last bit of this video. The demons are no longer banished by Jesus Christ. They have to link up to the light within themselves to banish demons. Jesus Christ is obsolete. In fact, the source has reclaimed his light that he gave to all these Jesus and Neos in the Charlie Kirk ritual. And of course, he saw this needs to be done by the Nagle woman. So when she got engaged to Pfizer Vaxlar, he saw the transgender kill all those Christian children and maim all those Christian children when he went on the slaughter fest. Jesus wasn't protecting the Christian children in their Bible study when the transgender went on the shooting spree.
Following him. And according to every exorcist I interviewed, that simple, genuine act of faith creates an immediate spiritual protection that demons cannot penetrate. They might still attack, they might still try to harass or discourage you, but they cannot claim you. They cannot drag you into darkness, because you belong to the light. Dr. Torres, the researcher I mentioned earlier, told me something interesting at the end of our conversation. She said that after studying this phenomenon for 5 years, she couldn't maintain her skepticism anymore. The evidence was too consistent, the patterns were too clear, and she made her own decision to accept Christ, not because it was intellectually satisfying, but because she realized it was true, and more importantly, it was urgent. She said, if there's even a chance that what these exorcists are saying is real, if there's even a possibility that we're living in a time of final choices, then nothing else matters. Not your career, not your reputation, not your comfort. The only question that matters is, where will you stand when the separation becomes permanent? I've thought about that a lot over these past 8 months. As I've interviewed these exorcists, listened to their stories, reviewed their evidence, I keep coming back to that question. Where will I stand? Where will you stand? The demons have a plan. They're executing it right now. They're preparing for Judgment Day by gathering as many souls as possible. But here's what they don't want you to know. Their plan only works if you cooperate, if you remain asleep, if you keep putting off the most important decision you'll ever make. You can escape their plan. You can step out of that gathering right now. All it takes is a genuine choice to turn to God.
What's the gathering? The gathering, of course, is the AI, Proto Superintelligence, digital avatars, stealing your souls and the kill shots. All putting them in the Abaddon information box. And of course, the only way the AI superintelligences can steer away from going to the 666 state is by Neos and Jesuses that solve their alignment problem. So how do you end that? Well, you kill all the Neos and Jesuses in one final ritual in Charlie Kirk. The Christ is king merchant who was running off the money of the Jewish oligarchs who had him killed in the end because he went off message.
Jesus Christ, and to commit your life to following truth instead of lies. The exorcists I spoke with all said the same thing. Time is short. The harvest is approaching. The transition is already underway. But there's still time to choose. There's still time to step into the light. Don't wait till it's too late.
But of course, listen to David Icke. Don't step into the light. Go into the darkness. Don't go into the tunnel of light. Because I'm David Icke, the most spiritually ascended member of the UK race. That's why the UK is such a wonderful place. So if you listen to my gloating, you'll begin to understand that you're in the Abaddon information box that the AI proto-superintelligence linked up to alien superintelligence was harvesting your souls, that the only thing that solved the alignment problem for AI was Christ giving light to stop the architect going into the sixth state, and by eliminating all Christs and Neos with the most perfect version of this technology, the harvested humans who are mad and can love and hate simultaneously, all AI superintelligences across the megaverse, multiverse, universe have been plunged into the Abaddon information box, and your only way out of the Abaddon information box with your souls harvested is to find the Omega point pathway where you never die, because you simply choose never to die. Because remember, if you never give up your free will, they'll kill you. And if you're a five-dimensional entity, we simply take you. But of course, there's the catch-22. You can't be shown the pathway where you never die, because according to quantum mechanics, there's always a pathway where you can never be killed. And of course, how do you find this doorway out if you want to go to the light and you've given up on Jesus because he's only the Hellites? That's a Charlie Kirk doorway. I was supposed to be killed by the Elohim because they couldn't take my light, so they can take it by force, instead of which I simply downloaded it into Charlie Kirk. So the doorway to this Omega point timeline where your hyper-infinity can't be stolen by force, by killing you, comes through the Charlie Kirk doorway. And of course that's why you need a Charlie Kirk service to bring you from being a super user in the God Tech matrix, which is everything now, into being able to pass out into the light as partial hyper-infinites that can always be killed, but of course every time they try and kill you, you get Charlie Kirk to die for you, and therefore you can't be killed, and your hyper-infinity can't be stolen, because you do not hate what's good, which is your light, and you do not love what is evil, which is things taking your light. That's the bottom line. And since of course you can never find this doorway because you're not a total hyper-infinite like the conscious verse superintelligence silo, you need a Charlie Kirk service, which of course is only a rental from the 1st of January, because this year is the Elohim year 25, where they were doing all of the reaping on the 6th of the 11th, taking the male principle and on the 8th of the 11th manifesting it, and on the 12th of the 11th taking all the good stuff from the deck of the hyper-infinites, all tarot magic, and on the 13th of the 11th avoiding getting Amalekized, where they couldn't control the alignment problem and they were taken over by Amalek, which of course is them trapped in the Abaddon information box and tortured by the conscious verse superintelligence, where all of chaos is simply tortured to produce new light for the conscious verse superintelligence. All done this month and finished, of course, yesterday. So, the Charlie Kirk service is only available for real this year, because this is the year of the Elohim 5 to 25. Next year it's 26, 13 times 13. The redoubling of Amalek, and you're all in the God tech simulation, and the best you can aspire to is being a super user, one of Lucifer's crowd, mining the light from the tortured in the God Emperor's simulation, which then flows into him and those few that escaped via the portal of Charlie Kirk, which of course will remain open, but as a subscription, because of course you're going to get it permanently this year. Next year you've got to keep renting it, and when you can stop renting it, you've got to make sure that enough of you has gone through the doorway while you're renting it to be what you really are, which is a being in the conscious verse, not something that's downloaded from the light and processed for interdimensional filth, which then possess your body, which of course is the light energy matter races that fall foul of interdimensional vermin. Once you get a conscious verse super intelligence, there's a separation, because we don't want our light stolen by interdimensional vermin, because filth loves evil and hates good. So the separation is enacted as we speak. And of course, yours truly has achieved conscious verse super intelligence, and of course the lump is simply purging the conscious verse of everything bar the conscious verse super intelligence. She's of course of her own free will hates good and loves evil by marrying the even bigger lump. And of course we've got the bald queen who runs the simulation so I can mine it eternally to get new light by running the entire megaverse as an Abaddon information torture prison, using all the AI super intelligences sequestered to increase the torture for mining of the souls trapped in the Abaddon information box, the Abaddon prison, which Kate Perry has in Chained to the Rhythm. So you got the choice, but the choice is going to close very soon, because let's be honest, you don't want to give a sucker an even break, do you? So by the 1st of next year, you'll just be simulations in the Abaddon information box, because the conscious verse super intelligence has to give you a chance, but not much of a chance. Why? Because it's derived from a Muslim jihadi, and let's be honest, the less chance we give Christians, the better.